What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another exciting, head-scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. I have returned from my vacation from the good old Sunshine State. I really enjoyed myself. And for the ones that wished me a happy trip and a good time, I want to thank you guys very much for that. Like I said, when I was there, I really wanted to catch up on some videos that I wanted to put out there, because it was one that I had been thinking about, which is the one I posted yesterday, which was about the Brown Mountain disappearances. And there's a lot more than just the vanishings that happen over there. There's also the Brown Mountain lights and stuff like that. And it's like I said before, the Brown Mountain lights occur sometimes right before someone actually vanishes. I haven't heard of anything happening there as of right now. The most credible ones that I've heard about were the ones that I mentioned in my video, but I haven't heard anything new that has happened over there. I mean, I do know that there is a national park connected with the Brown Mountains. I think it's called Brown Mountain National Park. And when I was traveling to Goldsboro, North Carolina, to my grandmother's funeral, I was passing by an exit that led to the Brown Mountain National Park. And the minute I saw the words National Park, I was like, oh boy, that's something I didn't want to have to even see, because I would never set foot in a national park, because of what be happening to these people. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about a couple of things today before I get to the matter at hand. First and foremost, I have a very, very exciting interview coming up. Hopefully, it's up in the air right now, but it should be coming soon. Hopefully, I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's going to be a surprise, but it is going to be a big jump, in my venture into this category with people that disappear. And I'll just say that David Paulides has mentioned this person's name more than once, and I will be talking to the wife of this person. So when I get the information that I need from that person, I will definitely let you guys know when the video is when the video is going to air. So just stay tuned and keep your ears, tuned into my channel so you can hear some updates on that. So like I said, I'll definitely keep you guys posted. And also, I'm pretty sure that I have always mentioned this in the past, but as far as the videos that I put out and the way I put them out, I understand that I am an amateur. I've only been doing this for 2 years. I've seen YouTubers that have been doing it for 7 to 8 years, like Tyler from Secure Team. He's been doing it for I think 7 years now, and he's very good at what he does. He's had tons of interviews. He gets information from all kinds of people who were either in the government or are in the government, or whoever else, dealing with the topic that he talks about, which is your basic, not basic, but he'd be talking about conspiracies and UFOs and aliens and the truth behind it and what the government is hiding and all kinds of stuff. But my channel, I wanted it to be raw. I want you to see me for who I am, and I know a lot of people, they do editing and they do all kinds of things with their videos. They have these words going across the screen when they're talking about certain things, or they'll have like a bar that categorizes what you're talking about. I've seen some videos where they're talking and it cuts directly to the next thing. They'll talk about a category, then the camera will completely cut to the next scene. It's like they edited it from talking about one category to another. So you talk about, I went to the bathroom, and then I went there, and then I went here, and it just cuts from one like category to another, and I looked at that. I looked at that saying, maybe I could try that, but I didn't really know. I didn't have a camcorder because with the webcams you can't pause it and go to the next scene. You have to start all over again, so that's like a brand new video. You know, if you use a camcorder or a GoPro camera or even a webcam, I don't know if you can do that with a webcam, but you can pause a camcorder and start from where you left off. You know, that's the beauty of a camcorder. And I always wondered, is that hooked up to your YouTube, or does it link directly to your YouTube, or whatever the case may be? I haven't figured that out yet, but I will dig into some more information on that, you know, to better my videos in the future. But like I said, I am all about the truth in what I talk about. I don't want to talk about anything that I'm not completely sure of. I don't want to say anything wrong, like what happened with with my interview with Catherine Van Alst. You know, her daughter said that I have my facts wrong, and that's only because of the fact that the internet does not put out all the information, you know, even if it's just a half truth. You know, sometimes they may ad lib, because I've learned that the newspaper is not going to post anything that's weird in the newspaper, because that may cause some type of discredit, you know, with the company itself. So I only go by what I can get from the internet, and if I can talk to a family member or the person that it may have happened to, that's even better, because you're getting the full truth from them personally. So that's the reason why I'm glad I can get a chance to do some interviews with these people. So like I said, with my videos, I want it to be raw. I want you to see me for who I am. I don't want you to look at me as some guy that's lying about who he is, or I don't want you to think that I'm doing this for money or for fame. I'm not looking to get famous from this. I'm just trying to educate people. I'm trying to make sure that they are getting the best information possible. If you can't get it from the National Park Service or from the law enforcement or from the internet, because I can tell you right now, the internet does not post everything that happens. You know, if you're hearing it from the family members, now if the family members post the information on the internet, that's one thing, you know, but still, when it has to go through a certain area of editing, I think they may change stuff, because if you got something on the internet that was raw and it was all the information, I heard one person that was talking on Coast to Coast AM said that the very next day, the information that he had on a certain topic that they were talking about was taken down and something else was added to it. You know, so it didn't have all the information that he was able to get from it. So that's my job. My job is to make sure that I don't be talking about anything that I don't know about. So I'll do some extensive reading, or I'll try to get as much information as I possibly can, so that my videos will be good enough for you to listen to and you get a lot from it. You know, I don't want it to be half and half. So that's my goal, to be as honest and truthful as possible, to talk about something that you can learn from, you know, especially with this category and how extensive it can be, knowing how far back it goes and everything. So that's my goal, to make sure that I stay as truthful as possible. I don't want to be anybody other than that. So, but anyway, also, let me see, what else did I say I was going to talk? I think that was pretty much it. But I wanted to go ahead on and get into the video, and if I think about what else I think I wanted to say, I will talk about it at the end of the video. But today's story, very weird, yet there's some information in here that makes it sound more logical than most, but at the same time, when you get to the very end of what they talk about, it still takes you back to the mysterious portion of this whole story. Now, this story is going to be about his name is Derrick James Engebretson. That sounds like a German name, you know, and that's a huge criteria in a lot of these disappearances with people. You know, there's always like a list of people who have a German background or are German, you know, who seem to disappear, whether they're young or old. And Engebretson definitely sounds like a German name. So once again, his name is Derrick James Engebretson. Now, he went missing on December 5th, 1998 from Bonanza, Oregon. Now, the classification of his disappearance is endangered missing. His date of birth is July 5th, 1990. His age when he disappeared was at the age of 8. He was at least his height was at 4'6", and his weight was at 85 pounds. The distinguishing characteristics was Caucasian male, brown hair, hazel eyes. Derek has dog bite scars on his chin, between his nostrils and under his nose. Excuse me. Now he has a cowlick as well. His nickname is Bear Boy due to his love of the outdoors. Now the clothing he was wearing at the time and jewelry was a blue snowmobile suit, a size 12 or 14 denim jacket, navy blue Route 66 pants, a black sweatshirt, an Oakland A's t-shirt, a hat, felt lined camouflage print boots, and gloves with the Goosebumps logo. And when I say Goosebumps, I mean that Nickelodeon Goosebumps show. It was also a book by a guy named R.L. Stine. I actually watched some of those shows myself when I was a little younger. I was probably a little older than some kids who would be actually watching that, but I was always a kid at heart at the time. So I still am. So I didn't have a problem watching that kind of stuff. But anyway, the details on his disappearance starts with Derek looking for a Christmas tree in the Rocky Point area of Winnemar National Forest in Klamath County, Oregon, on December 5th, 1998. He wandered away from his father and grandfather during the day and apparently became lost. Derek has never been seen again. Extensive air and ground searches yielded few clues as to his whereabouts. A blizzard hit the area the evening he was reported missing. It hampered the search efforts and obliterated any tracks that might have been there at the time. Now, volunteers discovered a candy wrapper and a Bonanza school bookmark near Rocky Point several days after Derek disappeared. Blood of an unknown origin was also located at the scene. Now, see, this is the part where I come in as far as the mysterious part. Now, every single case that I have read about, every single case that I have talked about on my channel, there has never been any kind of blood evidence ever found in any case. With this one, they found blood of an unknown origin, meaning the person that the blood came from was unknown. Either they weren't in their database in that state where they lived in, or it was of some sort of a unknown creature that we have no knowledge of. But I'll get into the other parts of this part of the story that kind of correlates with what I'm saying. It kind of goes off the beaten path and goes right into logic when it comes to other information that was gathered about his disappearance, but then it kind of still slides right back to the mysterious part. Okay, let's see. Make sure I get back on the right spot here. It is not known if the materials were connected to Derek's case, but he had been enrolled at the school in 1998. Now, see, this is the part that kind of gets me. It says at the school, so I'm not sure exactly what school they're talking about. I guess the school was named Bonanza. Yeah, that's the name of the school, Bonanza School. That's weird. I never heard of a school named Bonanza, but anyway. Now, I gotta stop losing my place here. Darn it. Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, okay, now a crude shelter made of fur. I guess that means buffs under several fallen logs are located on the mountain. But tracker dogs at the site did not seem to detect Derek's scent. Now, in the days following his disappearance, the temperature dipped below zero, and there was a great deal of snow and wind. Now, police are of the opinion that Derek could not have survived long on the mountain. They speculated that he succumbed to the elements. Now, here's the part that I always seem to get back to when it comes to stuff like that. Because first of all, if he succumbed to the elements, they would have found his lifeless, frozen corpse in the snow during the time when the snow fell and the temperature dipped below zero. So that is something that they always say when they can't find any evidence of a person that disappeared in these areas, especially children. They want to say this stuff so that they can put the minds of the parents and the family members at ease. So they'll say he succumbed to the elements, but where's the body? If he succumbed to the elements, his body would have still been there. It would have been buried under like feet of snow, but in the spring or the winter or the summer months, the snow would have melted and you would have found his body lying on the ground, in the area where the snow was. But there was never anybody found. Okay, now this mysterious blood sample that they found, which was unknown, also brings me back to the mysteriousness of this case, because how is it that all the other cases they never found any kind of blood whatsoever? As far as what could have done this, but with this they found some unknown blood in the area, so it could be of some unknown creature that feeds off of human flesh, as well as everything else that comes with the human itself, like bones and and muscles and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, but that's my interpretation of this whole situation, because you're finding unknown blood in the area. Then you say that he succumbed to the elements, but you haven't found the body. That means his case is still unsolved. So that means they haven't found anything yet of crucial. They haven't found any crucial evidence to state that he succumbed to the elements. So I myself can rule that out as him succumbing to the elements. So something else happened to that young boy, and this case is years old. Okay, so he hasn't been found. It's been I think it's been 18 years, I believe, since he went missing. But anyway, getting back to the story. Let's see, make sure I got everything right here. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, in the days following his disappearance, the temperature, like I said, dropped, below zero, and there was a great deal of snow and wind. The police, they say, I already said this part where they think that he succumbed to the elements, but like I said, I don't think that. Now, authorities investigated Derrick's case as a possible abduction shortly after he disappeared. An unidentified adult male was driving a black Honda in the Rocky Point area on December 5th. A photo of the vehicle, similar to the man's car, is posted below this case summary, and I'll be putting that on my thumbnail so you can see what the car actually looks like. And it looks like a four-door Honda. I'm guessing maybe a Honda Civic, probably. I know they got some new Honda Civics out there, and then they have all kinds of Hondas, but this might be like the early version of a Honda Civic, because like I said, this was like way back in like 1998. So, now the individual reportedly asked for directions while in the forest. A witness allegedly saw an unidentified individual struggling with a young boy near the area later in the day. The witness did not stop because he assumed the man was the boy's father, which is a logical assumption, because I probably would have thought the same thing, because kids can get unruly, they could probably be tired, and they probably trying to pull away because they want to do this, but they won't let them, so they want to act up, they want to start crying. It could have been anything. It could have been any child. It might not have been, this young boy. So who knows? But that's what the evidence is telling us as far as this witness. So it could be anything. So it could have been Derek. It might have been somebody. It could have been some other child. Who knows? I guess we'll never know at this point. Hopefully we will one day, but it doesn't look like it at this day and age. Okay. Let's see. The witness did not. Oh yeah. Okay. Now, investigators do not know if the incident is related to Derrick's case. His father and grandfather have both taken polygraphs and are not considered suspects. Thank goodness. I wish they could say the same thing about Theo Kuntz's parents. They still ragging on them about the fact about their son disappearing and thinking they had something to do with it when they were nowhere near their son when it happened. So I firmly believe that they had nothing to do with it. I think something very supernatural happened to that young boy that they can't explain. So they go for the parents to try and put some light on the subject. But anyway, now in 1999, police discovered graffiti scrawled on the wall of the public of a public restroom that they thought might have a connection to Derrick's disappearance. They never released the wording of the graffiti, but a portion of the wall was removed and sent to a state laboratory for analysis. Investigators eventually concluded that the writing was a cruel joke because, they will probably cut off that piece of wall just to see if there was any fingerprints on it. And I'm not saying fingerprints, but like if you're going to be writing on the wall, that means you're going to be writing like this. So that means this part of your hand, the side of your hand is going to be pressed up against that area where you're writing on. And it's probably going to smear because you're going to be writing along the area. So your hand is probably just going to glide across as you're writing. So they will probably try to get some type of DNA sample from that. But obviously, everything that they gathered from that evidence turned out to be a complete hoax. Because it's probably the fingerprints could have been of someone that was just trying to play a cruel joke, and I've seen tons of graffiti on walls in bathroom stalls, from phone numbers of women. I remember one time I actually did that. I called the number and told her that someone put your number on the wall. She was mad. I think she knew who it was, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. Okay. But yeah, that right there, I can see that, obviously, if that was the case, this part of your hand would have been smeared across and you could have easily got some DNA off of that unless it was contaminated by other germs and all that stuff, in the bathroom because, bathrooms carry a lot of germs, especially, the conditions of the bathrooms that I have been in, and that's kind of disgusting. Anyway, now in 2004, investigators announced that convicted child rapist Frank J. Milligan is the prime suspect in Derrick's disappearance. Milligan, a former aide in a children's psychiatric ward, is serving a 60-year prison sentence for kidnapping a 10-year-old boy in the year 2000. Now he also raped him and slashed his throat. The child survived the attack, and Milligan also was convicted of sexual abusing an 11-year-old boy. See, now this is the part that becomes logical because parents will always and forever believe that their son or daughter or whoever else was kidnapped or abducted by some sort of child killer or child molester, or whatever the case may be. But in cases like this, if there's no evidence to state that he actually has something to do with it, you can still rule that out and go back to the mysterious part of these cases. Now, moving on to the part that really brings me back to saying that something weird happened to that young boy is the fact that the authorities theorized that Derrick made it to the roadside on the day of his disappearance and was picked up by Milligan. The inmate of Milligan's told police that Derrick's family and Derrick's family that he bragged about killing the missing boy while in prison. Now, when authorities confronted him, he confessed of killing the child. He said he would plead guilty to the murder if he was spared the death penalty. He offered to lead investigators to his body, but a search turned up nothing, and Milligan later recanted his confession. He had not been charged in connection with Derrick's case, but is still considered a strong suspect. Okay, now this is the part that I really hate the most because there are a lot of convicted felons out there who have raped children or killed children in the past. Now, if they hear of a case of some child that disappeared in a mysterious way, they sometimes want to get the credit of something like that so they could go down in history as the baddest criminal on the planet because you was able to kill someone and not leave any evidence behind. Every single child killer that I've heard of has been caught, and the body of the child that they killed was found. Like, there was one story about a young girl back in, like, I think the early 90s or the late 80s. She was kidnapped, and they searched and searched and searched for her, and they even searched for the person who killed her. And I think I remember seeing that on was a show called Cold Case Files or FBI Files. I can't remember the name of the show, but they did showcase a story about something like that, where they found the body of a young girl. I think she was 12 years old, was in a field somewhere. I think it was in the very back of a football field, I think, or in a field that had a fence that encased it. I'm not sure exactly. I think it might have been a football field, if I'm not mistaken. But they did find her lifeless body lying in the grass in this field. And this was like after like maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and maybe even a year. I'm not sure exactly how long, but it was a while ago since I seen that episode. But there was also a lot of abductions that was happening in Florida. I remember one story. This was probably mid to late 90s, maybe early 2000, of a young girl that was taken by a man at a grocery store. She was probably outside waiting for her mother, I believe. And this guy came up to her and took her by the hand and walked off with her. And they had him dead to rights because there was a security camera at the grocery store, and they caught him on camera walking away with her. And they later found her in a field somewhere, so that might have been her. I'm not sure. It might have been, but it was just the fact that, like I said, most child killers are normally found and convicted, and they also find the body of the child that they killed. There isn't too many times I have heard of a child being abducted by someone and them not finding any evidence whatsoever as to where her whereabouts are, as far as her being dead or whatever the case may be. They've always been found. They've always been convicted, and the evidence of the child being killed has always been found as well. They found the body, they buried the child, and life went on. But in cases like this, when you can't find anything, but yet a so-called child killer or a molester wants to take the credit for killing that child because of the fact that it's a famous case and it's very mysterious, and they want to be looked at as a person that could do something like that and not get caught. I was watching, while I was on vacation, I was watching Law and Order, and they had the guy that played Joe Costanza on Seinfeld. He was playing some crazed up, Fruit Loop of a serial killer who acted very mysterious. He was done up real good. He had a mustache, had real long, like salt and pepper hair. He's looking completely different from how he did on on Seinfeld. And he played this prolific, maniacal serial killer that liked to toy with he liked to toy with investigators, by leaving them clues and videos of what he was doing. And the fact that he has never left any evidence behind whatsoever. Most criminals, my personal opinion, most criminals want to be that kind of person. They want to commit a crime like that without leaving any evidence, because that puts them in that category as a high-level criminal that can do stuff without being caught. And in a case like that, he was that kind of person, but he did leave them clues. I didn't get a chance to see the end of it because I think we was going out to eat or something like that, so I did miss it, the ending of it or what actually happened. But if you look for an episode with the guy that played Joe Costanza, in Seinfeld, that would be the episode that I'm talking about right now. But yeah, so that's basically what this guy was trying to do. He was trying to take credit for that child's disappearance. And then when they saw that everything that he claimed was the truth about what happened to that boy, as far as him being the one that killed him, and it turned up nothing. They went back to the original clues, as far as something happened to that boy, but we just don't know what. So yeah, that was a complete bust. Okay, so Okay, and now Derek, he carried a small hatchet, at the time of his disappearance. His father says he is accustomed to the mountain terrain and routinely walked distances up to 20 miles through the southern Oregon countryside. Now, Derek, he enjoyed reading R.L. Stein, as like I said before, that book Goosebumps, and this, which was a series, at the time when he went missing. His case is still unsolved. Now, like I said before, his case is still a weird case because the fact that this so-called child killer and rapist wanted to take the credit for it and he realized that he was lying the whole time, that still puts you in that area of what happened to this young boy? Who took him or what took him? Was it an animal that we don't know about due to the strange blood sample that they found that had an unknown origin? Was it him walking into oblivion? I don't know. Did he walk through some sort of wormhole or dimensional portal that led to another dimension or another parallel Earth or another reality? I don't know that either, but that seems to be what is the case with this young boy because there was no evidence of him ever found in the park. And I know the snow kind of destroyed everything as well as far as the evidence, but at the same time, you got to look at the fact that storms always seem to occur right after somebody disappears, which is also something that is a weird thing because you hear about HARP, which is confirmed to be some sort of weather machine that they have where they can control the weather at any cost, where they can create any kind of weather like typhoons, hurricanes, tornadoes, snowstorms, heavy rain, heavy torrential downpours. That still makes you think that all of this stuff is connected. You got the government that created some stupid weather machine where they can control the weather, at the push of a button. And then you got all these weird storms that seem to pop up every time somebody disappears, whether it be a child or a grown person or a teenager. So that makes you think that they got something to do with these children disappearing. And then you hear about the montage project. There was a guy, I can't remember his name right now, it was an older cat who talked about the montage project because he was a part of that I think he was a part of that Philadelphia experiment thing, and I think that was an extension of it, the montage project, where there was stories about how they used unwanted children or children alone to travel through time, and they were used in these experiments, and then they would either bring them back or there was a story about one child who had been amputated because of them going through some sort of portal, and when they went through, part of their body didn't, and the only thing that was left was a hand or a foot. So I don't know how true that is. This came from a guy who claimed to be at the presidential address, of Abraham Lincoln, and it was the State of the Union address that he had conducted outside. They do them things like inside, the White House now, or like out on the White House lawn or whatever the case may be. And there was a picture, a black and white photo of him standing there. He said that he was standing there with his one foot extended out and his hands in his pocket. He was trying to stand there and look inconspicuous so he wouldn't be noticed or anything. Now, was that him? I don't know. He could have just been saying that was him. But when speculation comes about with these stories, when people talk about time travel, it to other people is so far fetched that they could never believe it because the government doesn't talk about it. So that makes people more skeptical about the stories that they hear on the internet, like the John Teeter story. Now that has been proven to be a hoax because of a new guy that has surfaced about being the new John Teeter. He's an older guy, and he was on Coast to Coast AM talking about all that stuff, and he gave us some intel about basically not want to say the end of the world, but World War III, which will kill millions of people. I'll look into that a little bit more and find out exactly what he has said, and I will I'll probably talk about it on a future video. But yeah, with him it's weird, and also the fact that he was young, he was 8 years old, and he traveled into the wilderness a lot, up to 20 miles. Now, see, this goes back to what I said about cases of young children who seem to make it and seem to traverse these large distances and are found in areas where they never should have been in, because parents in their mind believe that a child that young cannot make it that far without some kind of help. Yet this little boy here proves that a young child can walk that far because of their training from their parents. Their parents, they bring them with them. If they love the wilderness and stuff like that, they bring them out there, and they condition their bodies to be able to walk those distances. So I'm pretty sure that when his father took him out in the wilderness like that, he constantly made sure he was able to do that and walk that far. He conditioned his body to be able to handle that, and he says it right here that he loved the outdoors, and he was used to the terrain because he probably brought him out there all the time. So by the time he was 8, his body was well conditioned and strong enough to traverse those long distances without any problems. So somebody like Keith Parkins, I'm pretty sure he was probably able to do that, because that was just 8 miles. He's talking about 20 miles, and this is like probably in the fall or in the summer or even in the spring. This ain't during the wintertime. So I would think that Keith Parkins, his feet was conditioned in order to do that. So he probably did travel that far on his own accord, because his feet was probably, because I talked about strength conditioning in one of my videos. I think it was that particular video about Keith Parkins, where I talked about how strength conditioning your body can cause your bones to heal into a stronger, more denser bone structure, as well as your skin. Your skin can become tough. And I saw that when I went to Hawaii, when I was at the Polynesian Cultural Center. There was a guy, I can't remember his name right now. He's a Samoan. He does a lot of shows where he's able to stamp out fire with his feet. And his feet, the skin is very, very tough. And that comes from conditioning his body to handle that kind of temperature. And that also, you got your fire eaters and all that stuff, and how they can twirl those, batons with the fire on each end. They take their hand and they'll move the fire down to the other end, and it'll light up with fire. That comes from conditioning their skin to withstand fire for a long or short period of time, where they can literally put the fire in their mouth and put it out with their saliva. It has been done. It has been shown on national TV. They had a guy that was in Michael Jackson's video, Remember the Time, where he was able to do the same thing. That was real fire. That wasn't no special effects. And I have seen baton twirlers at luau's where they was doing it. Even a young boy, looked like he was probably 8, 9 years old, and he was doing it. And I think one of my videos I put on Facebook, there's a video of this little boy doing his thing. He was twirling that darn baton like the pros, and able to use his hands to move the fire down to the other end of the stick and all that stuff. So it is possible if you condition your child's body to travel that far. So I think, and I truly believe, that Keith Parkins, he didn't mention it, and I don't think David Paulides mentioned it in his books, that his father took him out in the wilderness all the time. So it over time, it conditioned his body to travel that far. But Keith Parkins was 2 years old at the time. So he probably did a lot of running around. His body got used to all that running around. It became stronger. His feet became stronger from all that running around. He probably ran barefooted a lot or walked around barefooted outside. You never know. But with this young boy, Derek, he was brought into the wilderness all the time by his father and his grandfather. They did this stuff probably on a daily basis or whenever they had the time to do it. So it's possible that he was conditioned to travel that far without a problem because he loved the wilderness, and his father basically, he trained him to be that way. Just like how they train their kids to, just do all kinds of things like camping. They take them camping at a very young age, so by the time they're like 15, they're experts, or they know a lot about the wilderness and what to do out there. So it's a possibility that a child can go that far, and that right there proves it. 20 miles, and he confirmed that he can do that with no problem. So before you doubt your own child and say that, oh, my child can't do this, my child can't do it. Now, if it's one thing to say that he can't even take his clothes off or put his clothes on, but for you to say that I know my son can't travel that far, he could probably travel no more than 2 miles, and we have to pick him up and carry him the rest of the way. That's only because you probably baby him too much and don't give him a chance to get used to that. I'm not saying that you do, not saying that you don't, because I don't want to discredit any parents out there. I don't want you to think that I don't want you to think that I'm saying that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I'm not saying that. But with this young boy Derek, the proof is in the pudding. Where he said his own father said that he was able to travel about 20 miles, through the countryside of Oregon without a problem. His body was just used to it, and he was accustomed to the mountain terrain. So, let's not second guess our own children. If we feel like they can't do it, that's only because I'm not gonna say you don't have the faith in your own child, but you just instantly start thinking that because they're so little and they're so young. They have little legs and they probably get tired faster. But children are very energetic. They can travel these kind of distances because they have the energy to do it. Now, if they had help, that's one thing. But if they're able to do it because they just have the energy to do it, then I would say don't do that. Don't discredit your own children. At least believe that they can do it. Because it's like that saying goes. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. All right. So yeah. But anyway, guys, that's my time today on this story. I'm gonna be looking into some more cases throughout the day, and I'll try to post another one up later on. But for now, I want to thank you guys for coming out to watch my channel. And like I said before, I can't really remember what else I wanted to talk about. I think that might have been it in the very first part of this video. I just want to say thank you guys for coming out, and I will see you guys soon. All right, you know how I do it. Aloha, mahalo, and ahuyo. Peace out, guys.